Oh, we got a good one today. I'm fired up today, this morning. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to do this episode for a while. I've been holding off, but today is the day where we take a look at the top 25 prog rock live albums of all time. I posted something on my Twitter page last week, just talking about, what's your favorite live album, and boom, it exploded. Next thing you know, I've got like 400 likes and over 100 comments. So I looked through those when compiling this list. And, there's going to be some that I just don't make the list for obvious reasons. The Who's Live at Leeds, not a prog album. Great album, not a prog album. How about the Allman Brothers Live at Fillmore East? Yeah, it's a classic, but it's not prog. It can't make my list. What about Little Feat? Waiting for Columbus. Cheap Trick Live at Budokan. Peter Frampton Comes Alive. Thin Lizzy, Armed and Dangerous. It goes on and on and on, and I'm going to keep going with Unleashed in the East by Judas Priest, Live After Death by Iron Maiden, Motorhead, No Sleep Till Hammersmith. How about Bob Seger Live Bullet, Bob Marley Live Kiss Alive, Wings Over America. So many great live albums in the 70s. It was kind of a rite of passage for bands to do a live album, either as a contractual obligation kind of thing, or in some cases, just a pure money grab thing. But other bands used live albums as a promotional tool. They had a structured plan for when to release live albums. Rush, for example, had a really good template going, put out 4 studio albums, and bam, do a live album. The age of the live album is certainly come and gone. So the majority of the ones we're talking about on this list will be from the 70s. But there's a lot of great stuff here, and we're going to start with number 25. This one probably doesn't belong here. I didn't mention it in my preamble there about live albums not included, and we're including it because they're kind of a borderline gray area band. We're talking about one of the greatest live albums of all time. We're talking about Deep Purple, made in Japan. It's amazing. Is it prog? I don't know. That's why I put it at 25, but it had to be on here. It just had to be on here. Really, seriously. At number 24, I'm going with Camel, a live record. This is a really cool album. Came out in 78. The first disc is from the Mirage tour. The second disc is from the Rain Dances tour. So you get a really nice cross-section of what Camel did and all different eras of that band. Just amazing. At number 23, I'm going with Coma Divine from the Porcupine Tree. And yeah, this is an older live album, so it does not have the great Gavin Harrison on drums. Chris Maitland handles those duties, but this is a terrific live album. It came out right after Signify, so most of the songs are Signify and Sky Move Sideways tracks, but it's really, really great. At number 22, I'm going with Caravan and the New Symphonia. This was kind of the rage in the 70s where bands would hook up with the symphony orchestras and try to do some interesting things. This was a cool record. It's primarily Girls That Go Plump in the Night live. It's got Dave Sinclair. We got to have one Sinclair in there, right? But the great Dave Hutchins produced this thing. He produced Foxtrot. So, what else do you need to know? At number 21, we're going with a similar type of album. This is Procol Harum Live, and this too has a symphony orchestra with it. The Northern Alberta Symphony Orchestra based out of Edmonton. This is a single disc. This is short and sweet. This is Gary Brooker. We love you, dude. R.I.P. It's got the great version of Conquistador, which was where I first heard it. The live version actually charted in the U.S., so fantastic record. At number 20, I'm going with the dreaded USA by King Crimson. Yeah, these guys have about 8 million live albums, but this is the one I grew up with. This was the only live album I knew about from King Crimson for a long time. Yeah, it's got a lot of post-production work done, and yeah, it's got the Asbury Park improv stuff, but I really like the record, and I think it's really fun. At number 19, another R.I.P. Dave Longden. Big Train. I'm going to go with Stone and Steel. They've got quite a few live albums up, but I really like this one. The production is great. The song selection is spot on. It's got all the English electric and Underfall Yard tracks, just dynamite. At number 18, this one I went back and forth on. I'm going with The Delicate Sounds of Thunder from 1988. Of course, Pink Floyd's great live album. I was going to go with Pulse, but I switched up at the last minute. A Momentary Lapse of Reason was not as good an album as Division Bell, but I kind of like this live album better than Pulse. I think Pulse just had that whole second disc was Dark Side, and if I want to listen to Dark Side, I think I want Roger Waters in the mix. At number 17, we're going with Dire Straits' Alchemy. I admittedly am not a huge Dire Straits fan, but I like this record. It's the sweet spot between Love Over Gold and Brothers in Arms, right before they blew up in the US, right before I vowed I would never listen to them ever again. So when this record came out, I was still really into them. So Mark Knopfler, just what an incredible record. Some of these live versions I prefer over the studio versions. It's just a really great record. At number 16, I'm going with 2003's Meet the Flower Kings. Yeah, all epics, baby. You got the Garden of Dreams. You got The Truth Will Set You Free. It's just nothing but long, epic tracks done in an incredible way. If you do not know the Flower Kings, this is a great place to start. This was the 7-man version, so you got Hasse Brunison on percussion, and you have the great Daniel Gildenlow on additional vocals and guitar. If you like Pain of Salvation, I know you need that record. Alrighty, at number 15, from 1973, Uriah Heep Live. Oh man, I wore the grooves off of this thing when I was a kid. I had Demons and Wizards, and I had The Magician's Birthday, but I didn't have the early stuff. So man, that live version of July Morning, oh man, I must have listened to that a billion times. At number 14, we're going with Hawkwind and Space Ritual. The great Lemmy on bass. This is the classic lineup of Hawkwind. It's a lot of fun. They go into outer space here. I don't think they've ever come back. If you dig space rock and that kind of vibe, this is the best thing they ever did. I really like Hollow of the Mountain Grill and Warrior at the Edge of Time. So this is kind of a nice companion, since it's primarily stuff off their third album. Just a fantastic trip, and I highly recommend it. At number 13, we're going to Germany and Grabschnitt's Solar Music. This is another album where most of the material here was on a previous album, but they do it so differently with some new tracks thrown in there that it just is completely recontextualized and reimagined, and it's just a great, great album. If you don't know Grabschnitt, this is a really great starting point. A lot of people feel it's their best album, and I probably would have to agree. At number 12, Transatlantic, the Whirld Tour from 2010. This was their concert in Shepherd's Bush in London. It's just absolutely incredible. You've got, again, it's 3 hours of music and it's 6 songs. And 2 of those are short tracks. So you basically, the bulk of the 3-hour show is 4 songs. Epics, baby. Nothing but epics. If you like Prog, you probably like Transatlantic. Well, you should. If you don't, you really should. At number 11, I'm going with an odd one. This is Rick Wakeman's Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's all new material, which is kind of weird for live albums. Usually, you're talking about new versions of old songs and long guitar solos and 20-minute drum solos, but not here. This is all new material. It's one of Rick's greatest achievements. It's really, really, really good. At number 10, I'm going with Renaissance live at Carnegie Hall. They dropped this right after, how the hell do you even pronounce Chevron? I don't know, but before Novella. Let's just say that it came out before Novella. So you got all the Ashes is Burning stuff, all that early Renaissance stuff done live, all the great songs. The sound quality is amazing. I grew up listening to it, and I really, really enjoy it. At number 9, we're going with Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. It's a triple album. It's got Tarkus, it's got Carnival 9, it's got Take a Pebble, it's got everything you want from an Emerson, Lake and Palmer live album. The songs are done in a really good way. A lot of times the tempos are much faster than the studio versions. It's not recorded great, but I love it. At number 8, we are going with Exit Stage Left from Rush, their second live album. This is the one that's got all that good stuff from Farewell to Kings, Hemispheres, Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures. I love their first live album. I like their second one even better. The crowd noise thing is an issue a little bit, but whatever. At number 7, I'm going with Van der Graaf Generators, Vital. This came on the heels of their Quiet Zone, the Pleasure Dome tour. So at that point in time, Hugh Banton and David Jackson were out of the band. David Jackson comes back for this album. Hugh Banton is not there. So they actually bring back their original bass player, Nick Potter, who was on H to the HE and, those first couple of Van der Graaf records. This is a scary record. This is a cool record. I really like what Peter Hamill and the gang do here. They don't sound like anybody else, and this record certainly proves it. At number 6, we're going with Kansas 2 for the Show. What a great band. What a great album. Kansas was the greatest of all American prog bands, and this live album absolutely showed why that was. I love them. I love it. At number 5, I'm going with Supertramp's Paris. Supertramp being a prog adjacent band, maybe not the proggiest of the prog, but this was an amazing album. It was recorded during their Breakfast in America tour, so you could really, if you wanted to, just call this thing Greatest Hits Live. It's incredible. There's a reason it's held in really high esteem. If you only own one Supertramp album, this would be the one to own for sure. At number 4, we're going with Jethro Tull's Bursting Out. This came out in 78 on the heels of the Heavy Horses tour, so it's got a lot of that and Songs from the Wood. Just an amazing, amazing way for them to end the 70s with this live album, with all that great material under their belt. They could have done a triple album. They could have done a quadruple album. They had so much material by this point, and it's just really great. At number 3, a lot of people's favorite live album. I'm putting it at number 3. In fact, I wasn't even sure it was going to make the list. We're talking about Genesis Seconds Out. The 1 per rule's in effect, so we're not going to get 3 sides live. And I also did not include 1973's Great Genesis Live, which actually hurts my feelings a little bit because I absolutely adore that record. It was the first thing I ever had from Genesis. First thing I had ever heard was the Mellotron strains from Tony Banks's Mellotron, and I was in love. But I'm doing the top 25 live albums, prog live albums, and if you exclude Seconds Out, I would consider your list an epic fail, period. At number 2, we're going with Yessongs. The great triple album from 1973 really helped cement Yes's place in the music world. It sold great. It sounds weird. It's not a great sounding record, but the performances are spirited. The energy level that this band had in 73 was unreal. Alan White's on most tracks. Bill Bruford gets to be on a couple songs. The rest of it's Alan. He had just joined the band. That fresh, wild man energy is just really fun and refreshing, and I love it. But it's not my favorite live album. My favorite prog live album of all time, and possibly my favorite live album, period, of all time. Playing the Fool from Gentle Giant, 1977. And why do I have this at number 1? Well, if you watched my Gentle Giants ranking video, you know I am a huge fan, and their live album really is such an excellent documentation of who they were and what they were capable of, and not many live albums did that. I think a lot of times to really understand the spirit of a band, to understand their true essence, you need both the studio albums and a live documentation to see really what they're all about. Playing the Fool is all you really need if you want to understand what Gentle Giant was, what they were all about. I love how they take these versions of the songs and do so many different things with them. You're never confused and think you're listening to the studio album or wishing you had instead because these versions just suck compared. No, there's none of that. It's amazing. I love it. That's my wrap up. The top 25 progressive rock live albums of all time. And I know you disagree, so you're going to tell me all about it down there in the comments. But anyway, I am Scott from the Fire Note. You were in the Prog Corner. I would really appreciate it if you just hit that subscribe button so you don't hear me have to bitch and moan about it anymore. Anyway, have a great day. I am Scott, and I will see you freaks later. Yeah.